Okay, so dear subscribers, before we start with the theoretical videos, I'm sure you are all, eager to listen to the first installment. I said to the prelude to foundation, the Ziggurat of Ur, and then to the first chronological episode in the origin story, the Ziggurat of Ur. But before that, and also, I should start with those with the clay, because I have a lot of clay work to do, and probably I don't have enough, so maybe tomorrow I'll buy even more, or the day after that, because certainly I need more clay. I still need to figure out, from the point of view of the prospective buyer, even though I cannot sell anything because I'm a slave, but maybe in the future, who knows, at some time in the future I will be able to sell those many eggs. So it's the question of whether I should, dip the egg, in oil color or acrylic color, the same that I used last time, with material from the swamps that contains all extra neros and of course many life forms, as I've done with these eggs, or maybe just wrap it in aluminum, or even without aluminum, and wrap it with clay as I have done in the past. For example, in this starship, but there is 20 doses there, but also in the eggs that you see there that are left over from the egg genocide that was conducted I had like hundreds of these. So from the point of view of prospective buyer, I would glad to accept advice, or maybe a mix, or maybe as I said, as I suggested, some of the eggs which will actually dip not with the aquarium juice, but with beeswax from the metal container. I have quite a bit of beeswax, enriched beeswax that contains both life forms and neros, and this could be another the Kinder eggs, but the ones that are sold like the old style, the European style, not the American style, that they started to sell in Israel about maybe 15 years ago. But when I was a child, I remember that, even like very young child, even younger than my daughters, I remember that, my parents were already divorced, and I remember that, my father, so he visited us during Sunday and Wednesday, 4 to 7, and one of the things that we've done was to go to the center in the center is called the center. It's like kind of open, commercial section in the Brodsky Street near Alliance School, and so we've done all sorts of stuff. But one of the treats was to buy Kinder, but it was the old school Kinder. With chocolate. That actually Kinder, actually egg made of chocolate. And presumably it's illegal to sell such stuff in the United States since 1930 or something. So they have the new type, which is unbelievably inferior. So kind of this kind of egg with all sorts of surprise, Kinder surprise inside, with so not only the toilet paper with the ejaculation, but also neros from the wax or from the liquid container. So you tell me if you think what can future buyers, when I will not be a slave, what can they actually want? And of course, we can mix all of these. But before all of that, let's start with. I couldn't resist. Taking 2 samples from the firing pit. That outside, as you've seen this, it was burned very, very well. I burned it quite well. Maybe too much, because actually there is I mean, even though it was burned for quite some time, and I keep like adding like cotton, because I mean the problem is that I mean it's not, I mean there is no good air supply, so I needed to keep like adding cotton to enrich the fire. So I mean much of the wax was actually burned, but still there is quite a bit of wax in it. So not everything was burned, and so I've taken 2 samples. Here you can see actually the black material is just cotton, burned cotton or burned toilet paper that I've used as threads. I also taken a sample of my semen that I just produced now, and also for my sweat. Just for curiosity, I want to see. What you can see. I mean, from time to time I do it, and so maybe we'll take a look at those as well. But let's start with the slides from the fire pit, and I have not actually viewed them. Like it will be a review like I've done in the last 4 videos, which is kind of like without without previously watching the slides. It's not the way that I did it until now, with many dozens of slides. I mean, throughout the 6 or 7 months. Mostly I reviewed the slides before in order so I'll be able to know what's inside, and to have commentary already in my head, and maybe because and I put a lot of material on the slide, so I'll also know where should I navigate, because mostly I do not navigate throughout all the slides. It's actually impossible, and of course there's different zoom levels, focus levels. So but we'll continue the new tradition of doing it doing the review the first review, just as they say, box opening reviews. I never understood it, but it's kind of like a millennial thing. It's not for my generation. The box opening reviews in YouTube. Anyway, the new review. So I don't know what we will see, but it will be exciting, I'm sure. So without more introduction, let's start with the 2 samples from the firing pit. That I've taken just now, after of course the fire was extinguished. So this is the first. The black stains are cotton and a little bit of toilet paper, burned cotton and toilet paper. So again, I'm using my only microscope, the good old magical microscope, Bresser 1, and it's a magical microscope, as you know, because the LED light is working without transformer connected to the socket, and I don't know that of any battery, and I don't see any battery, and I've never known of any battery. As I said, it started to be like that about 3 months into the experiments, when the whole microscope was filled with Nero juice, and maybe you just created a capacitor. After some time, if I leave it throughout the night, it doesn't work, and then if I connect the charger, after some time the battery charges, which is great. But maybe it has other explanation, that there is actually a battery that I never knew of, and it was never actually activated, because in the first, initially, it wasn't like that. It's always needed a connector to the socket in order to actually work the LED light. But maybe there is a battery that wasn't activated, and I don't know, the microscope actually got hit, and it started to be active. It's not necessarily the work of the Neros, but maybe it does. Who knows? So we will use 64 magnification, unless there is something very interesting, and maybe we'll use higher magnification. The microscope surely needs to be cleaned. The lenses are dirty, and I know, but I keep postponing it because it's not super critical. And maybe I'll give it for some kind of an expert to do it, because I don't want to ruin it. And also the table is kind of it needs readjustment or calibration, because it's difficult to move, but it's okay. The table of the microscope, the apparatus on the black plastic. So let's just start. Let's just take a look. So we see life form straight, right off the bat. These are definitely life form, and we see they survived the fire very well. These are not. These are. I like the sausage. These are not. Your garden variety microbes. By the way, they are huge. But they also, survived many fires. Wow. More life forms seems intact, completely intact. I don't know what it is. This looks maybe it's a cotton. It's burnt cotton, and we see a Nero over there. I think this is a nice Nero, actually. Yeah. We don't see many Neros, but we see life forms, which is great. Okay, so we definitely know what it is, right? So it's perfect shape, and it's got like the Stargate look. So this is a magnificent Nero. It's not the biggest that we've seen, but it's certainly on the bigger side, and it's also very fat. Very thick. Let's zoom in. Give us some more light. Very nice. So we should zoom in even more. This will press against the slide, so we might see because this lens is very close to the slide, so we might see all sort of like liquid currents, flows that are caused by the pressure on the slide. This is normal. This is inside the Stargate, yes, inside the Nero. So I pressed to the maximum, and now we see flow. As expected, because that's what happened when you press to the maximum focus. So with this lens, I'll do it again, and you will see flow. Do it again. No, there is less flow. No, we don't see flow now. Maybe you can do the trick, too many times. So I pressed it. Again. No, I mean, okay, so it's not, the trick doesn't work so many times. But yes, I mean, the first time, yes, we did see a flow after the press, which is typical because it was pressed, I mean, to the... Let's search for the big one and let's try to see what we can actually understand. No, it wasn't that one. So we see many other big ones. These were not, I mean, we see many big Neros. This is barren material. Yes, this was the one. What I wanted to do is to press inside and outside. Like, but let's do it on another one because maybe on this one. No, let's search for another one. It's not interesting that the change of focus, I mean, does not, I mean, if I'm not mistaken, it's not, I mean, it's correlated inside and outside of the Nero, but it's only correlation. It's not like a direct relay. I mean, it's not one-to-one change. Like, I mean, the outside focus does not change in the same way that the inside focus change. But this could be, I mean, a result of just optics, regular optics. It doesn't mean... I don't know if it means that it's Stargate. I mean, maybe there are other explanations. But we'll, I mean, check the press. I mean, I want to, I mean, continue. I mean, the life form exhibit. So I mean, we have quite big ones. I mean, surely, I mean, maybe we should have taken like samples before the burn, but I didn't think about it. Sorry. So we don't know if this effect of the enlargement was due to just the time that it was like left a couple of days, like I mean, in the container, or because of the fire and the symbolic. I mean, the symbols, even though it's the same symbols. But so the question if I'm pretty certain by now that the symbols are actually correct, even though there are nuances in the symbolics of the enlargement, of increasing, as I said. But it's not really important now. But the question is how much the fire actually contributed. It didn't hurt for certain. We see them very well, and we see life forms. So let's zoom in like a couple of life forms, and then I'll do the test that I wanted, the press test. This looks like a huge sausage. Certainly many big ones, very big ones, but I want to zoom in on a life form. We've seen many, but I want, like, I don't know, I'm searching for one that is like, I don't know. So this is the life form for certain. Let's zoom in on this one, 160. Okay, nice. So what we can see in 160, smaller life forms. Okay, let's get back to '64. Okay, so this one, so let's zoom in to the maximum zoom in on this one, but not on him, like, I mean, not exactly on him. So this is 64. Now, this is like the maximum. It's not maximum because we can use the lens, but I mean, the tube lens, but it's like 600 or I mean, 900, something like that. So let's do the press test. Maybe there is no liquid now. Because even when I press it to the maximum, we don't see like something moving. Like we've seen in the before. So no. Anyway, what I wanted to do is to zoom in inside the Nero. So let's do it. You can see this is the inside of the Nero. So now when we press, we actually see movement inside it, or maybe of all of the neuro actually. Maybe it moves. It seems that all of it is moving. Let's go to 64 again. Okay, so this will be quite enough, I think. Certainly, I'm satisfied with what I've seen. Big ones, which is great. So now let's take a look on the other one from the same, from the same container, same time. Just another sample. '64 magnification. You see small life forms, many of them. This one is quite big actually. Perhaps a Nero. Yes, another one. And another one. This is interesting. I don't really understand what we see here. So it's kind of like, it's a Neros with threads. There's burned threads, I think. More Neros, more life forms. This is burned cotton. Definitely many life forms, Neros. It just looks actually like a Stargate because there is so different. The things that inside than the outside. The black things, like stripes, or it's just threads. Burned threads. That that just look like they are getting out of the Nero, but actually it's burned material. Wow, very intricate life form. Maybe we should do maximum zoom in on this one. Wow, very intricate. Very intricate life form. Wow. Maybe now after we pressed it, I mean, you see more stuff. Sometimes you see different stuff after you press something because, I mean, there's a different focus. I mean, so. Like, I mean, in the other slide, after I pressed it, I'm using the maximum magnification, we've seen more neros, but it makes sense because, I mean, when you press, the cover to the slide, it changed, like, I mean, it's 3D environment, you should understand it. I mean, it's not 2D. If it's not, so a different material, I mean, just, I mean, you know, floating suddenly. It's amazing. Wow. Yes. Nice. So we've seen this one and more life forms. It seems that the symbolic command for the enlarge was indeed, I mean, as expected. I mean, it worked mostly on the neros and not on the life forms, which makes sense, because if I wanted to be on the life forms, I mean, there are other things that I needed to do, and so I'm kind of like satisfied with I haven't like done my electrolysis experiments in a while now, but it seems that my knowledge of I'm satisfied with the fact that it seems that my knowledge of the symbolic language is, I mean, I'll say, I mean, consistent. Like, I mean, we don't see, I mean, yes, so I mean, or in very simple words, I mean, the commands work as expected mostly, which is good. Because yes, it enlarged the, I mean, it's what's new is that, I mean, as I said, I mean, mostly it's used in the electrolysis, I mean, chamber, this command. Of course, it doesn't really matter, I mean, it should be the same, but, I mean, again, I mean, it should be I mean, it's new, even though it makes sense that, I mean, the symbolic commands, I mean, are true, whether the energizing is with electrical current by using the electrolysis method, or with heat energy using burn, I mean, fire. So it shouldn't like affect, I mean, it's the same command. But anyway, I mean, even though it's kind of like, I mean, I understand, even though it makes sense, still, I mean, it's something that, I mean, from the scientific point of view, it should be verified, and I'm glad that we verified yes, it's the same command that work, I mean, whether I mean, you energize the neurons with fire or with electrolysis. We haven't seen as much neros as in the previous slide, but we've seen, those that we've seen were actually pretty nice, like fat and big. Oh, this is a magnificent one actually. So maybe we should end with like, I mean, maximum zoom in. Nice to compare the flow inside the Nero to the flow, or to the non-existing flow outside of the Nero. It's interesting. So if it's really a Stargate, what does this mean? That I'm pressing against, like, I mean, another dimension or something? I don't have a practical experience with Stargates. I mean, you probably you, my audience, have much more than I do, because I have nothing. I've never, I mean, used the gate. I never passed the gate in my life. I've never even seen the gate in my life. I mean, maybe I'm watching one just now, but you know, I mean, you're the big ones that you have. It is, again, I mean, my research, I mean, interest in this matter, I mean, was confined to energy transfer because of many reasons that I've spoken about in this channel. It's a huge subject. Why energy transfer is important and extremely beneficial. It's an amazing subject and very interesting. I just say that from manufacturing point of view and from like creation point of view and from also the symbolic language and the courses of the plague of the earth. Everything that they do with the Neros, actually, the energy transfer is much more important than matter transfer, even though maybe matter transferring could also be important, but I was focused mostly on energy transfer. Nice how it revolves. Yes, we can see the circular motion inside the Nero, which is very interesting. Okay, so certainly good results. Let's take a quick look at my semen example just from now. I just prepared one, a fresh one, and sweat. I'm not 100% certain that, what is the sweat and what is the semen, but it will be easy to see because, the semen is much more concentrated usually. Concentrated both in Neros and also life forms because, as you know, the Israel is, infected with all sort of like diseases, so it's not pure, it's not pure, but mostly what we will see is not, like active germs, but zombified germs, which means either like, they are dead, or, just to see parts of germs, microbes that, were killed by the Neros, or zombified synthetic life forms that were, prepared by the Neros in my body. So it's kind of gross, I admit, but you do understand that, it's not the microbes that, that you can see like in normal, normally you don't see microbes in sperm. It's not something that if you see microbes in sperm, look, in a normal person, biological microbes like this, it means that this person is probably, will die any second, but it's not the case. So, I learned to be quite chill with that and to understand that this will also be over when I will be outside of Israel, because here they always infect me with more and more diseases. The Neros in my body will, clean everything only when I'm like outside of Israel, because only then the Israel will stop the infections. But these are not, what you see is not, I have learned to understand that this is not like the normal biological microbes that you can see in person's body, because if it were, situation was, that I'm dead already, and I'm not. And also there are other, ways to see that, that they are like zombified germs or just cut to pieces. But let's just take a look. I think this is the sperm sample. So we definitely see those life forms here. And in a different focus, or many circles. I'm not sure which are like, bubbles and which are Neros. Maybe we will get a better look in a while. This is another life form, a huge one, the circular one. This is not a nice one. It's not something that you want to actually find in your sperm, but this is the case. Again, I'm infected with all sorts of diseases, but I mean, pray to God that this will not affect my health too much. You don't want to find this kind of shrimp in your semen. It's most probably it's not like a real shrimp because you see that it's hollow. So this is a zombified one or a completely dead one. That was just, taken care of by the Neros. But yes, I was infected with many diseases throughout my life, and certainly in the last 2 years, because they want me miserable. Of course, they don't want me to have sex with anyone. They want me to give the sperm and to put it like in a paper so they will be able to use it for their own purposes. So that's why, one of the reasons why they infected me with all those diseases. Here you see a Nero in a life form. Certainly a Nero that's walking on, killing it or zombifying it. Then we should maximum zoom in. We'll see, what we can actually learn from it. As long as I'm here, I will be infected with more and more diseases. This is my life. I need to get out of here. There is no, I don't need no cure protocol or health seal protocol. I need to get out of this hell. And then, whenever I will be cured very, very quickly, very swiftly. But, it cannot be done when I'm in a hostel, where I keep being infected with more and more diseases. So this is certainly a Nero walking on this life form. Let's get back to 64. I can't say I like what I see, but as long as I'm here, it will continue to be like that. I need to be rescued from this Nazi prison. Very nice. So we've seen a little bit of Neros, not many. Actually less than I expected, but we've seen a little bit. And several big ones. And the life forms are, not nice, something nice, but I know that this is the case. The only solution is to get out of this hell that is called Israel. Okay, so let's now take a quick look on the last one, which is a sweat sample. Looks like a ton of Neros actually. There is a possibility that I mixed the sample, and this is the semen one, and the sweat was the other one. This actually, I mean, explain why we've seen these very nasty ones, even though we see nasty ones here as well. Because of course, I mean, on the sweat, I mean, there should be many more life forms, because I mean, it's also, I mean, things that are just on my skin, you understand? So there is a possibility that just I mixed, I mean, that I confused between the sperm and the semen. Because we see much more Neros here, and less the life forms and less disgusting ones, which makes sense, because yes, again, it makes sense that the most disgusting were actually, I mean, was taken from the sweat, because it's, you know, I always like do stuff like, I mean, it's not so I mean, my skin is probably full with, you know, all sort of like, I mean, bacteria that is common in this room, and you know, on the many things that I touch, dirty stuff. And you will see much more Neros actually. Not all of the circles are Neros, of course, but some of them are. This is, of course, not a movement of the life form, I guess, maybe, you tell me. Makes more sense that it's just a movement of the fluid, I mean, then because, but I'm not 100% certain, but when I see movements that are as sharp as this, I mean, I tend to think that these are movements in the liquid. But maybe not. Anyway, here you also see many life forms, so even if this is the sperm and not, and the other one was the sweat, still, I mean, you see that I'm infected with a ton of life forms. It doesn't change, like, I mean, the situation considerably. It just makes much more sense that we will see much more Neros here in the semen, which is not, I know that, I mean, the semen contains much more Neros than the sweat. But yes, we also see nasty life forms here, very nasty. So yes, I'm infected with all sorts of diseases. Most certainly this is the semen, because we see so many more Neros here, and this is, I mean, this is typical for semen sample, not for sweat. I'm sorry that I mixed those ones, but I mean, it happens, you know. You should be more careful with that, not to mix samples. So Neros or bubbles? I guess, I mean, both. But let's zoom in to the maximum. This looks nice. This looks nice. Small one, cute one. Yeah, I would say this one is a Nero. So both neurons and life forms and bubbles. Okay, let's get back to 64. So we see so many neurons, so it means that, yes, it most probably this is the semen sample and not the sweat. We haven't seen as much, we've seen ton of life forms, and yes, this comes from my body because I'm infected with many diseases, and the neurons are actually fighting those stuff, killing them and creating like zombies of them, robots of them, but as long as I'm here, I'll keep being infected because I'm in Israel and they infect me with all the ways that they can do it. But yes, it makes sense that on the sweat samples we will see much less neurons and more nasty life forms because it's on the skin. So the source is not only my body, but also things that are just on the skin. I need to be rescued from this Nazi hell. Okay, so I hope you find it interesting, and so I'm still not tired yet. Not completely tired, a little bit tired, but I'll drink a coffee and eat something, and then we'll continue both with the clay and with the theoretical. With the lectures. We'll see what I can do today, and the rest will be postponed to tomorrow, of course.